Well, hello again, brothers and sisters in Christ. Pastor Mike here. We are moving nicely through September, and things seem to be going well. It's always an interesting, I don't even know how to say it. It's always interesting just trying to navigate all of reality at the moment. Be it personal life, be it church, being all those things. It is far more complex than I always historically remember. It's fascinating. It is always interesting. And I don't think I'm the only one who is always contemplating how their values and what's important is played out, be it when I'm raising the boys, doing things with school. In fact, I took some of my day off yesterday to chaperone a field trip because I thought that was important. They always need chaperones. They're in short supply, and so when I'm up for chaperoning, which is always an interesting choice, I'm willing to go. But it was important that I went to support my kids in those trips, support our teachers, support these kids in trying to learn more about the wonderful creation God made. Yeah, it was a good trip. It was exhausting, but it was good. And I went because of those important reasons of what is important. That is always an important thing. Again, I can't resist to keep in front of us. What are our values? What's important as a church? What is key? And right now, there seems to be a lot of things pulling on those. And as I've always been thinking about that, this wonderful Markan text from our gospel is what pops up. You're gonna get my thoughts on it today. I've just been meditating on it, even though I'm not preaching. Gary Erickson will be joining us. He will be preaching, presiding, and taking care of all those wonderful things while I'm taking a brief break this weekend. So hopefully everybody's good to him and shows him how wonderful Emmanuel always is. But it's this interesting question in our text is what does it mean to be great? Because Jesus says he's with the disciples. They get in a fight about who's the best, who's the greatest, who's the number one apostle, who's the Michael Jordan of apostles, which is a hilarious debate for them to be having. So Jesus stops them and he reminds them about what is important. Because people always want to be the best of something. But if you're the best, it depends in some ways on your values. Even in sports, I often don't think the best player is the one that can do it all themselves. Uh, I always think the best players are the ones that know their skills, know their gifts, know their teammates' skills and gifts, and they perform better. And in performing better, they make everyone else perform better. It's not about them, it's about the we. And in doing so, you see some amazing teams. That's always, I think, important. I always appreciate that. And Jesus is trying to reset the greatest. What does it mean to be the greatest? And for Christians, as opposed to sports, it is always, or along those times, a very different thing than in the world. He often says the first must become last, and the last must become first. And he even says, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Then he took a little child and put it among them. And taking it in his arms, he said to them, whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. Whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. The greatest is the one that serves, which is interesting, which is Jesus trying to realign people's perspective. We unfortunately live in a very me society. I always love it when somebody calls one of the generations the me generation. It's like, hey, y'all, that's been happening for a wee bit of time. I don't think a specific generation has a monopoly on it. I think it is often more a sign of the age that we live in than a generation. Does that make sense? The zeitgeist and such causes it more so. And I think what Jesus is doing here, he does in every generation and every age, is to pause us, to check us, to say, what does it mean to be a great Christian? And ultimately, it comes down to being a servant, to looking to the well-being of the neighbor, the other, to see your neighbor, to see how they are doing, and to care for them in an appropriate and right way. I mean, it's there. Nowadays, we, I think, often hear the call to, circle your wagons. and me before everyone else. In Christianity, we can't put me before we. Um, I have often reminded the boys that I like Rudyard Kipling's reminder: the strength of the pack of the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. That in that balance and that synergy, you find community. That the community will take care of its people, and the people will take care of its community. And in so doing, we look to each other, we look out for each other, and we care for each other. Sometimes giving up something of ourselves. Sometimes giving up on ourselves for the sake of the community. And it is hopefully reciprocated. That we will, reduce ourselves in a moment, say, I will step back, and all those other sorts of things, to no longer have to hyper focus on me and then focus on we. Those are my thoughts. Those are some of the things that's really in the back of my head on this Mark text. Curious to what traction that gets in our world. I know it is a very counter message to many, but hopefully you hear it not in the sense of an ornery pastor, but as in the sense of Jesus reminding us that at the heart of everything he did was love. At the heart of everything he did was choosing the community, the people of God, even to his own death. And then in his resurrection, it wasn't for him, it was for us. Think about it. Blessings, brothers and sisters. As always, hopefully this finds you well. Hopefully things continue to move in a healthier and safer pattern. All right, blessings, brothers and sisters. We'll talk to you later. Bye.